Ni hao, it's just Stephanie. Okay. It's been a while since I've given you a Leitner Box update, so here we go. So I have the actual Leitner Box. I actually have a box. I went through various different incarnations of boxes. I went from boxes to bags to folders to all kinds of things. And so I have the box that sits on my dresser, and then I have the day bag, the day purse, where I put usually two different levels that I bring with me for the day. Again, the Leitner Box method is clearly, since my name is Fuccio, not Leitner, not my system. I have snagged it from, I do not remember the gentleman's first name, and I don't even actually have any information about him, other than it is basically the basis of time-space repetition. The Leitner Box method is the time-space repetition method that is used in a lot of things similar to like Anki and Duolingo and that kind of thing. So it is obviously the paper version of that. And so what you do is you print out the schedule. I've clearly written all over a bunch of these, but you print out the schedule. For some reason it's in 64 days. One cycle, I guess, is 64 days. I'm sure there is a reason for this. It sounds like it was a very methodical, scientific approach to creating this time-space repetition. And at this point, or at the point where I started doing this, I was really sick of the experimental part of language learning, and I wanted to just move forward. So I was really excited that somebody else had researched this part of it, and I decided to do the paper version of this. So I've tweaked the system a little bit because that's what you do with language learning, is you make it your own. And one of the tweaks is carrying around part of the box and not just studying at home with the full-on box. If you search online, you'll see a bunch of people having all kinds of different boxes. I don't buy shoes where I live in China because my feet are a lot bigger than most people's. So when I buy shoes, it's usually overseas, and I don't carry the box back with me. What I'm saying is most people use a shoe box to do their Leitner system, but I don't really have access to that here. So I found this at a dollar store called Daiso, which is a Japanese dollar store that exists in more than just Shanghai, China, a lot more than just Shanghai, China. But you can get one of these there for super duper cheap. Mine does not have a top because it doesn't go anywhere with me. It just sits on top of my dresser, and I exchange out the different levels that I'm working with on any given day. Alright, so that's the basic of it. It's vocabulary learning, and it is not the only thing I'm doing. I'm working with an HSK book as well, because for the entire year of 2018, I'm going hardcore HSK. Mostly because my main goal is to increase my vocabulary so I can read newspapers and eventually other things. But my first main reading goal is to read newspapers in Pudanghua, which is simplified Chinese. So that's that. So I needed a push to getting a ton of vocabulary in my brain, and the HSK seemed like a good way to do that. There's a lot of other advantages that are happening that I did not see coming. I am in the language learning industry. Kind of. I'm in the language testing industry at the moment, and so it's very interesting to be a language learner taking language tests. I'm on both sides of language testing right now, and it is bizarre. And there's a lot I can't tell you, but there's a lot I can tell you. There's a lot I can't tell you about language testing industry on the administrative side, but there is a lot I can tell you on the test taker side, and that's the majority of what's going to happen this year. After I learn to read a ton, I hope the channel takes a different mode and I tell you more about what I'm reading than just the language itself, but I'll probably geek out about the different things within the language as well as the meaning, but man oh man is that a ways away. So this channel has a lot of room to grow. And so does my language learning, because I just took my HSK test, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and so I'm about the halfway point to finding out my score. That's right. So what I want to show you is I have my flashcards. I handwrite my flashcards. It's part of the appeal of doing this method, is it forces me to practice the strokes, which is part of the language that I like. I like the look and the feel and the creation of the characters that make up the words. So I like that part of it. But what's happening is that I'm experimenting with different visual ways of doing the cards. So one of the original cards, let's see, if I look at level 7, which is really big, which is promising. Oh, I'm doing the HSK1 and HSK2 in the box at the same time right now. I have 150 words from HSK1 and about 90 words from the 150 extra from HSK2. So whatever 150 plus 90 equals, that's how many are in my box right now. I hope to have 1, 2, and 3 by the time I'm done with studying for HSK3. I hope to have all 3 of those in the box at the same time. And if you can see the box, right now the cards are kind of slanty, but they can go up like this. So I have plenty of room for the, I think 3,000 words, substantial amount of words that will be at that point. Oh, 900 words, because it's 150, 150, 600. 600. Okay, for HSK3, that's crazy. So if I dig into level 7, I can show you some of the original cards. I want to show you one that I'm kind of proud of the writing for. This is Beza, which is cup. For some reason in HSK 1 and 2, they have so many sentences with the word cup in it. I don't know if cup is a frequently used word. I think the HSK test is based on frequency, but I haven't studied it yet. If you have, please leave information down below as to where I can easily go and read more about the test. I don't have time to do a lot of research on it for lots of reasons. Right, so that's Beza, right? I underlined the different syllables. I put how many syllables here. I put which HSK it is here. And in the first version of these cards, I put the tones over here. So this is the first tone for the first syllable. This is the second tone, which is for the second syllable. And clearly this is no tone. This is the flat tone. This is no tone. Nothing is color-coded yet, but that's what the front looks like. I was putting the vocabulary for HSK1 into Pleco. I love Pleco, but I wasn't actually using the decks after I made them, so I stopped doing that. On the back, I put the opinion and the English definition. There are some where I put pictures, but oh yeah, here's a lovely one. Oh, this is awful. You'll see why I stopped putting pictures. Oh, sorry, this one is Shah, which is under, right? Under or below, and you'll see this awful picture. Yeah, what? So I spent more time trying to figure out what I intended with the pictures than with the pictures themselves, and I'm so visual that just seeing the Hansa character, or just seeing the words in Hansa characters, and just seeing the English, an image would pop into my head. So I stopped drawing because that just was not fruitful to me. So I stopped doing that. So those are the beginnings of the cards. But then I got some new markers because I spend far too much time in stationery stores. I love stationery stores. Dear God, they are a dangerous, dangerous place. And so I found markers that had all of the colors of the tones that I use. And just so you know, the flat tone is black, rising tone is green, falling rising is blue, and fourth tone, the falling tone, is red, and no tone is also black. So there's double black, but I'm dealing with that. So then I decided that I was going to color code the Hansa characters with the markers, still the syllable, and this is an HSK2 word, and then I'd even color code the pinyin. This number is the number on the list that I have for the vocabulary so that I can make sure I have all of them, and so if I want to go back and double check either the look of it or the meaning, I can go back and easily check. I didn't realize I wanted to do that for HSK1, but I started to do it for HSK2. However, I started to notice that the ones I did with the marker were moving up the levels slower than the ones that I just had in their plain, non-colorized form. And I figured that this meant that it was too much. The cognitive load was too high, and the colorful ones were just hitting me over the head. And for some reason, when I look at this, all I see is the red, and I cannot focus on the shapes, and the shapes are the things that feed my curiosity and feed the meaning and help me understand and kind of visualize those animations that I talked about and really help me understand it. So unfortunately, the ones with the marker where the colors are so bright and beautiful, by the way, I got these markers at Muji, which is a Japanese, it sounds like I shop at all Japanese stores, but they do great stationery. Anyway, it was at Muji, which is a kind of a home store, kind of an IKEA, but with so much more. Yeah, so there's that. So I had to stop doing that. So now I have cards that are completely just black and white with a pencil, because pencil I can erase and not ruin blank flashcards. And then I did the color coding, but the color coding with the marker was too visual. So then yesterday I'm sitting there with my 4-color pen, and I said, hey, why didn't I just start with this instead of getting those fancy markers that I have to cap and uncap and that makes something that's too much for my brain? And so I started to color code the syllables, the characters, the character boxes, still not entirely sure how to call that, with that. I even color coded the pinion again. And it's too soon because I just started to do this yesterday, but even just from reviewing them today, it didn't feel like, wah! It felt like, hey, this is new. So I think this might work. I always have a million of these multicolored pens, and so I'm slightly frustrated that I didn't think of this sooner, but you learn when you learn, right? So I don't know if I can redo, this is one of my confusion cards. I confused these two words. So I don't know if I want to redo all of them because there's a flashcard crisis that's also happening at the same time. But I definitely need to do something differently. I need to either use the pen or stop color coding it to begin with. I'm not at this point in time excuse me, I'm not at this point in time testing myself on the tones, but I figure if I subconsciously get the color kind of in my head as part of the visual of the characters themselves, then that will help when it gets to a point where it really, really matters. Right now I'm relying on the listening to help me get the sounds of the words into my brain, because that is how I remember sounds. Not from visuals or from colors, but from sounds themselves. But I figure it can't hurt, as long as it doesn't interrupt them going into my brain like the marker colors were. Then I figure there's nothing it can do but help. If I go, oh, I don't remember if that's falling or rising, especially when it's the fourth tone, that seems to be really a strong sound. I feel like I would remember that it's red, or that syllable is red, or that word is red, depending on the word. So I don't know. This is all new to me. So there's that. So hopefully that would work, and if it doesn't, then I can go back and redo them. Now, what is this flashcard crisis? Somebody gave me a viewer gave me a good idea the other day that I haven't actually done yet. But these flashcards, I actually don't even have any blank ones around me. Oh, here I do. I had no idea how great these flashcards were until my favorite stationery store in my old neighborhood ran out of them. And it's been 2 months now, and I finally went up and I just took one of the blank ones that I have, and I said, do you have this? And he's like, nah. And I pointed to where they used to be, and he's like, yeah, I know, no. So I think they're done selling them. And a tear went down my face. You can't see how thick this is, but these things it's not your regular paper. I haven't used flashcards since high school. Well, no, that's not true. Sometimes I used to make just different lists on, like North American flashcard sizes are more like this size, right? But this is much smaller. So I used to just kind of use them just for organization of ideas and lists and things, but I haven't used them to study since like high school. So I didn't even think about it. I just kind of grabbed something that was in the stationery store when I started to do these flashcards, and they seemed to work, they seemed to last, so I stuck with them. When I was in London a few weeks ago, I looked for new flashcards, and they were so weak. They were not thick at all. They weren't porous. They didn't seem like they would last, and they were weird sizes. So I've come to really like the size of these. and I've come to really like the thickness of them, and I cannot find them anywhere. I keep going online and ordering different ones, and they come and they're off in some way. So I don't know. I don't even have the outside that had the product name on it, because when I bought them, I would take off the plastic, take out the rings that I don't like, and I would just put them into a different box that I have for blank cards and other stationery that I have. And so I only have the blank cards. I don't actually have them. So there's a bit of a flashcard crisis because I can't find replacements. I have enough to finish HSK2, but HSK3 may be a different size and a different quality of flashcards. Now, like I said, a viewer gave me an idea. Thank you very much for taking one of these in and just to a paper store and asking them to make them for me. It's a really good idea. I just don't know if I am motivated enough to have that conversation in a language that I'm at the very bottomest level. Bottomest is not a word, but it needs to be for this conversation. So I don't know. I mean, that is an option if I truly, truly can't find something that works by the time I hit HSK3. I'd like to have all the flashcards in the same format, whether it be in the pen colors or whether it be with no colors. I want them all the same. And copying them over is really easy, but I need to stop fixing them right now until I get replacement flashcards. This is not the obstacle I was envisioning when I started to study words in the Chinese language. I really thought remembering the words, remembering words that look like this or this. I thought that was going to be the hard part. I thought things like this would just seem so different and so bizarre to me. Like, I thought that would be the hard part. I never in a million years. I love how this one looks. I love the top part here. I love those radicals. I really thought that would be the hard part, and yet I'm finding resources are the most challenging. Unbelievable. So there's that. So yeah, when am I going to finish this 64-day cycle? I started this particular 64 cycle on March 21st, and I'm doing it most days, but not every day. So I think it's going to take me quite a while longer. Let's see, where am I? Today I did day 28, and there's 64 days. So it's going to take me quite a while to get through this. But I'm not in any rush. I'm really not. I for the first time in my life, feel like I have patience. I feel like I have patience. Yay coding, because if you watch some of the other videos, I feel like computer coding was the thing that taught me to shut up and work and just push through what seems like impossible. And after doing that 2 years ago, almost 3 years, is it 3 years ago? Sonia, how long ago was that? My gosh. Anyway, after doing that, this feels easy. And I did Python. Yeah. Imagine if I had tried a really crazy hard computer language. Anyway, so that's my update. Sidebars and all. That's my update. That's what I'm doing. I have 3 different versions of the cards visually. I have many, many cards, and I'm going to have even more. I might be switching sizes of the cards, which drives me crazy. But I will not stop. I must keep going because I've never had a yearly language plan before, and I've never felt like I've learned every day that I've learned a language quite like I'm doing now. There's a lot to learn, and the cognitive load is high, and the listening is so crazy hard, and the visualness of the language is equally fascinating and frustrating. I could not be more in favor of a phonemic alphabet more than I am right now. However, I'm completely fascinated by the components of this visual language, of the writing system, of the Hansa characters, of however you want to say it. I could not be more fascinated by this. So there's that. Anyway, all right, thanks for listening to this update. If you have been using if you have been using a Leitner system, I'm going to take a picture of this and put it on Instagram. come on over to Instagram and use the hashtag Leitner Box hashtag that I'm going to put, and let's just geek out with our Leitnerness, shall we? Let's do this. If you've been thinking of starting a Leitner Box, here is your chance. Start it. Do it. Get started. You don't have to do many cards a day. I'm only adding 5 a day. I was adding 3 a day, but my next test is coming up really soon, so I'm going to start doing 5 a day. You'd be surprised how quickly the cards move up the level with almost no effort every day. It is ridiculous. It's about the repetition. It's all about the repetition and the planning. It's planning and repetition. That's all this is. That's all this is. It's crazy. It is amazing how well this works. That's all I have to say. For me, this works for me. I think this would work for many people, but this definitely works for my lazy ass. All right. Instagram. Take a picture of your Leitner. Come follow me. Come find it. Come do it. Do it now. Sorry, I've never really given you a directive before, have I? I'm getting the teacher eyes out. No, forget that. I don't want to be a teacher anymore. Never again! Okay, I'm just getting delirious at this point. Satyen, I look forward to seeing you over on Instagram with your box. Satyen.